Hello everybody. In this video we will talk about if, elif and else statements. So these statements are usually known as control flow 2 because they allow you to execute a piece of code if some condition that you have given is true. For example, if I'm at bank, this is some condition, then I need to withdraw the money. Some code that is executed because the condition was true. The main keywords we are going to be discussing in this video are if, elif and else. Often control flow uses colons and indentation, also known as white space. This indentation system is a very crucial part of Python. This is what makes Python different from other programming languages, and it also allows us to write more readable code. So here we are saying that if the condition we have given is true, then it will execute some piece of code that we have provided. You might also notice some blank space here. That blank space is called indentation. The code that you might want to execute under the if statement is indented, which means that this code is written after some blank space to keep this code separate from other code. If you haven't understood what I mean by this, don't worry, I will explain everything later in this course practically. Now let's say if this condition is not true and you want to add some more condition to it, then you can use elif statement. So you can use elif statement when you want to ensure that if in some case, if your So you can use elif statement when you want to ensure that if in some case if your if statement is not correct, then you can use elif statement. Now let's say that even this condition is not true and none of the condition that you have given is true. Then you can use else statement. Now you might notice that else statement does not have any condition because else statement will only be executed when none of the condition that you have provided above aren't true. Still, if you haven't understood anything, don't worry. We will do this practically in Jupyter Notebook. Let's start off with a simple example first. Let's say I have a if statement with just a boolean condition. If true, then colon. And notice what will happen when I will press enter. As you can see that I have an indentation done automatically for me. If you are using a text editor such as Sublime Text or Visual Studio Code, and you have defined a file where you are writing your Python code as .py script, then the text editor will automatically understand that you are trying to write your Python code in this file. In case if you are wondering what text editors are, then let me tell you that text editors basically allow you to write your Python code or any programming language that you want in a development environment. Don't worry, it's not something that you might need to worry about for now, but now let's focus here. Now we are going to say print the condition is true. So here, let me explain what I'm doing. I'm saying here that if the condition is true, then execute this piece of code, which is print the condition is true. Well, typically you won't be using a true itself. Instead, what you might have is something like a logical operator. Let me show you what I mean by that. As you can see that the condition is true. But what if the condition was false? As you can see that we didn't got any output of this code because we haven't defined any statement where the condition is false. So let's define it with some other condition now. Let's say we have a variable called sleeping and we set it to boolean as true. Now let's execute it. As you can see that we have received I'm sleeping as an output, and that happened because here I have defined that if sleeping then print I'm sleeping. Now let's set sleeping equals to false. Execute it again. As you can see that we have received I'm not sleeping as an output, and this happened because the above condition that I have provided in the if statement is not correct or is false. The else statement is just basically giving us a backup here. If in some case above condition that we have provided is not true. For example, if I will create another statement after if using elif and make elif and if statement equal to some value that we need in order to get the code under the if statement. For example, if I will create another statement after if using elif and make elif and if equal to some value that we need in order to for example, if I will create another statement after if and make elif and if equal to some value that we need in order for the code under the statement to be executed. Oh, I also forgot to mention that you can manually change the condition that should be accepted. So for example, here I said if the condition sleeping equals to true, and notice that I said equals using equality or double equal sign, and elif should be equals to false. Now let's execute this cell again. So as you can see that we have received I'm not sleeping. Now let's set it to something else that we haven't defined as a condition. Let's say sleeping equals to none, which basically means nothing. Let's execute the cell again. Oh, sorry. I made a mistake here. Let's execute the cell again. As you can see that we have received I can't understand because all the conditions that we have given above are not true. Then it should execute the else statement, which serves as a backup if none of the conditions that you have given are true. Now I will show you another example. I also want to mention that after using if and before using else statement, you can add as many conditions as you want with elif statement, like I've done here. Let's execute it. Sorry, error. Okay, so as you can see that when I have location equals to home, then this block of code was executed. Because as you can see that I've specified here that elif location, the variable location equals to home, then execute this piece of code. Okay, now let's say that if I will change this variable equals to, let's say, something shop, and execute the cell again. As you can see that the statement if location equals to shop, then execute this piece of code was executed. Now let's change it again. Let's change it to bank. As you can see that we have got the output withdraw some money. This happened because I said that if the location equals to bank, you can see that I'm using double quotes for equality. So if the location equals to bank, then print withdraw some money. Now let's change it to school. Notice that I haven't specified the condition school yet. And if I will execute this cell again, as you can see that it returned I'm lost, I need to take a look at Google Maps. Okay, now just to make this all clear for indentation and white space, I'll give you another example. If name equals to Sam, colon, print hello Sam. If name equals Henry, print hello Henry, or else print who are you. Note the indentation first and how all the control flow statements are lined up and their intended code blocks. And we also have this colon of this condition, which just denotes that any intended code under the control logic statement will be executed if the condition happens to be true. Let's run the cell. Perfect. Now if I were to change this to Sam, I'll get hello Sam. Now let's change it again. Let's say Carol. Then it says who are you. Now after executing it, you can see that I have received who are you, which shows that the condition that I have provided above are not true, and instead the else condition was executed. Okay, so these were the basics of if, elif and else statement. If you have any question or doubt, you can always go to the comment section and ask them there.